Broad topics, broad minds, broad hosts, but not just for broads. This is BROADScast with Kim Goldman and Jackie McDougall.
Welcome to BROADScast.
Hey. Hi. Welcome. Hi.
Very exciting day.
It is a very exciting day. Yes.
We're going to get our funny on later.
Well, it's great because I'm in comedy planning mode. So this is perfect. I'll be inspired hopefully today.
Yeah. I mean, if people are just tuning into us for the first time or haven't listened to all of our shows, you know, one of the things you do as the director of the Youth Project is you put on this incredible comedy show every year.
Yeah.
You've got another one coming up.
I do in August. So I'm gonna learn some smart, funny things from our guest today and steal some potential comedians and maybe even you, because we have a secret to share to our listeners. So they're gonna have to tune in to find out what big, huge news Jackie's going to share with us.
Huge. It's going to be huge.
It's going to be huge.
We're talking bucket list people. So, but one of the things though, that I think when people think small town, I mean, you know, our whole valley is like 300,000 people. But I think that people might think like, oh, it's a cute little comedy show. But like the people you have had, Jay Leno, Howie Mandel, Billy Gardell, you know, I mean, it's,
yeah,
you know,
I'm a bit of a rock star. Uh-huh.
You really are. I mean, the quality of comedy that you get, you know, and our guest today is exactly the same. I mean, she kind of like discovered some of the biggest names, not those names that I'm saying, but some of the biggest women and have, you know, those she hasn't discovered, she's worked with. So, yeah,
she's on the cusp. Yeah.
She's a one funny broad. So we're going to come back with her later, but we have to talk about our fabulous sponsor.
Wait, did we say who it is?
No, we didn't.
Did we just say her? Oh, no. Are we being secretive about that too?
Should we be secretive? No. Her name is Lisa Sundstedt.
Yes.
And she is the founder of Pretty Funny Women. And she really surrounds herself with pretty funny women. And she teaches classes and she puts on a showcase and she's all over the place.
You know, Jackie, this is why you and I are such good co-hosts, because we have conversations in our heads with each other and sometimes they don't ever come out onto the show. So I love that all happened.
Well, it's so funny because I was like, maybe we'll just tease it. Maybe we won't. Like, we don't communicate these things, people. I know there are a lot of podcasters out there who edit the crap out of their shows, and we don't. Because here's the thing, we're very ADD over here. So I'm like, it's fine.
Well, this is the premise of why we wanted our show to happen to begin with. Just sitting around, shooting the breeze, and having real conversations. And I don't know how many times you and I will be having conversations with half the information, yet it fully makes sense.
Right. So if you don't speak in code or understand code, our show probably is a little confusing.
Okay, moving on to sponsors. Who do you got?
Well, let me ask you this. So I don't know what it is about summer. It makes me want to shop. Are you that way?
Yeah. Yes.
You know, people talk about like retail therapy. You know, I just love like cute little dresses and, you know, fun summer toys for the kids in the backyard. And like, you know, those big, like, I kid you not, I bought one of those things, those, I don't know, 300 water balloons.
What?
Yeah. It's, they're attached to these sticks and then you literally attach it to the hose and then it fills up the water balloons. Like there's 35 in each pack and then there's like multiple packs in the box. And so I can give my kids hundreds of water balloons in like 5 minutes. And then I'm like, go, get out, play. But I don't know. There's just something about summer, but you know, you should not be shopping anywhere, whether it's online or even sometimes in the store, without hitting Ebates first.
So I'm so glad you said that, because I made a big purchase the other day because I'm redoing my closet and I had to buy some things for my closet. And I was like literally about to hit purchase and it was a big purchase. I'm like, you know what? I should do this through Ebates. I don't know. I'm learning because Jackie's so good to remind me. And I put a little note on my computer to always remind me to look there. I looked and I found the store that I was shopping at through Ebates. So I got a discount on my shopping. And then I also got $28 back from shopping through Ebates.
Yeah. And
because I click on the Ebates icon and it just, yeah. And so I click on the eBay. I don't have to sign it. I don't have to do anything except just go through their website, find my store, click my purchase, and then I get another check sent to me back in the mail. Brilliant.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, people don't realize you can do this even if you're going to something like Amazon. You know, I buy a ton on Amazon. I just go to Ebates first and then go.
Right.
Yeah. So to get more information on Ebates, go to broadscast.com/Ebates. And we've got a little info right there, but it's super easy. And I just remember, I mean, we've talked about this, but I remember thinking like, what a crock. I don't get it. But there's nothing. It's not that complicated. It really isn't.
Not at all.
And I get my monthly checks, and they usually range between like $14 to sometimes, like, depending on whether, you know, I am possibly like booking hotels and stuff, it gets even bigger.
Right.
Because you could even do like a hotel discount website, like your Expedias or wherever you go, but just go through Ebates first, and then you literally get cash back.
Totally easy.
Yeah. So next thing, I swear I need to buy a pool because I mark my words, people. This is my last summer without a pool. We live in, like, hell sometimes calls and is like, hey, can we have our weather back? Because it's just so hot here.
Are you trying out your material?
I am not. So, and clearly by the lack of response to that one, no, definitely. We'll cross that one off the list. So anyway, broadscast.com/Ebates. So what's going on this summer? Wait, let's just talk a little bit because we're waiting for Lisa to come in. She's going to be in the studio.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the summer.
Nothing. My summer is, I'm already off to a banging start here with my son, who's in freshman summer basketball camp, which is freaking me out. So we are all about basketball all day, every day. And then I'm just wrapping up work, and I've got a couple of gigs I'm doing with Crime Watch Daily, and you and I are launching a couple of fun things that are going to be announced later this summer with BROADScast. And I'm just trying to get my head on straight and organize and declutter, and
yeah,
that's about it.
It's funny because you talked about your shopping and the whole Ebates thing, but I love that you kind of gloss over the real story, which is like, you have how many pairs of shoes in that closet that you're organizing?
Yeah, I have like 100 pairs of shoes. And I redid my closet finally
100.
after 12 years of hating my closet. Yeah. So I had somebody come in, I redid it. It was a big thing. And now I'm organizing all of my shoes. So I have been on the hunt for shoe boxes that I can display my shoes because I don't want them out. I want them in a box. I want them to be like in a drawer or in a box. And it's not as easy as you think, people.
Wow.
So
I actually have some that I got, I don't know if they'd fit shoes, though. We'll have to try them out because they were like totally on clearance at Target.
Yeah, I've tried every store. These are sturdy, they're stackable, but they're kind of on the small side. So some of my bigger shoes I have to get bigger boxes for, and then it's like playing Tetris in my closet to try to organize. But I'm super excited, and I have been obsessed, thanks to you, Jackie, with watching some of these flip and flop and restore and DIY shows. And so I bought like an ottoman for the inside of my closet, and it's my happy place. So I want to be happy in there.
It's funny because people talk about spring cleaning, but now that we're in the first days of summer, like that's when I get it because I don't have to be making lunches and sending kids off to school, and so they're around and they're playing or whatever. That I love. Like, you should see my house right now. There are little piles of things that I'm organizing because it's like we collect so much clutter. So it's awesome that you're doing that in your closet. But again, can we go back to the fact that you have 100 pairs of shoes?
Yeah, we could, because I love, and now what's been great is for the last however many years that I've been, stocking them up, they've been in their shoe boxes. And so when I was able to transfer my shoes into my clear shoe boxes, it's like I went to the shoe store all over again because I'm like, oh my God, these are great. Like I haven't seen these. Oh, look at these, are so pretty.
Right.
And so it's been cool. And then I also purged and donated. I'm a monthly donator to wherever I can find a place that will take my stuff. So but it's been great to like go through and I've purged a little bit, but I have good taste. That's my one weakness in my shoes. I have some good taste. So
good taste or expensive taste?
Both.
So let's talk about this for a second because I'm really curious what our listeners like. How much on average? How much do you spend on a pair of shoes?
Me or our listeners?
Well, they can't answer me, but I do.
Okay.
We will put this in our Broad Squad. Go to Facebook.
Let's make a poll
to our Broad Squad group, and we're going to put a poll in there. Yes, great idea, Kim. And I want to know what people spend on shoes. So, how much do you, Kim Goldman, spend on average? On shoes? Okay.
Let me preface it and say this is my one weakness. I don't buy Starbucks. I'm not an eater. I'm not like a drive-through person. I don't do some of those things. My weakness is shoes. So I will spend a good $100 on a pair of shoes. I have no problem dropping a couple $100 on a pair of shoes if I think they're cool, or boots. I did that. I went into a store and I loved these boots and never bothered to check the price, and they were a lot of money, but I was so in love with them that I purchased them anyway. But I love my shoes. It makes me feel good. I feel super sexy. I feel super confident. But I would say between 100 and 150 is probably an average price.
Wow. All right. Well, that's not as bad as I thought you were. Like, because I talked to some people and they, especially a pair of boots. I feel like boots are an investment. I guess shoes are. If you take care of them.
They are for me because that's what I'm saying. So I have a lot of shoes, so I don't wear through them. I mean, I don't wear the same shoe, maybe like little wedges like in the summer, but even that I've got 4 different pairs for the summer that I rotate through. So they always look fresh and brand new.
Right. Well, that's interesting. I know some people who spend like $800 on a pair of shoes, and and it all depends on what kind of money you have anyway. So who am I to judge if you, make $2 million a year too, that you spend $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, whatever, but.
Yeah. But I've also learned as I've gotten older that for me, buying cheaper shoes, they fall apart quicker, or less expensive shoes, I should say. Some of them fall apart quicker. They don't feel as good on my feet. They rub, they're just, and so sometimes I'm not a firm believer that you have to spend more to make them, that more is better. But sometimes I have found with shoes that sometimes the more expensive shoes, the different brands, they're better for me, like my foot.
Right. Unless they're it's funny because I see people who buy like your Jimmy Choos and your Christian Louboutins and, and I have to say it like that, Louboutin. And then they can't, my friend Christine talks about a pair of shoes that she has and she calls them her valet shoes.
Okay.
Not ballet, valet with a V as in Victor. Because, she can walk in them from the car, the valet to the table and then back to the car. That's pretty much it. I'm like, and she got them as a gift, but it's like, it's hilarious to think like people spend so much money on a shoe that it's really like a little foot trap.
Well, the worst part, and I know we've gotten to completely off topic, but the worst thing is when you buy a pair of shoes in the store. I mean, when you're in the store, you're trying them on, they feel good walking from the chair to the checkout, right? And so you're like, oh, these are awesome. Then you get them home and they feel great walking around your bedroom. And then you go outside suddenly 10 minutes later, they're painful.
Yeah.
And now you've got scuffs on the bottom of them from asphalt and then you're stuck with them. And Nordstrom used to take back any shoe, like it doesn't matter, but now you can't return them.
Oh, really?
You can't return shoes that have been worn. And that sucks because sometimes you need that extra couple minutes,
Right. What about like at a Zappos or something? Do they?
I don't know. I have not had good luck
online
with
shoes.
Some of those. Yeah. But I do DSW online, but then to ship it back, it's so expensive.
Can you bring it back to the store?
Yeah, but I don't go to that store very often. And then they're sitting around in my car and then I've waited too long and then
oh my gosh. You just described my life.
Yeah. Terrible. So.
Yeah. So, and the thing is, I have terrible feet. I mean, I really do. So everything hurts my feet. So there's I'll buy a shoe and it's cute. And it's like, I know that I'm going to hate these shoes soon because they're going to hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we are off topic. We're very excited that Lisa is here. Lisa Sundstedt, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here.
Up in Santa Clarita.
Yes.
It's funny when people come up from LA, they're like, is this real? Am I going to be murdered at the end of a cul-de-sac?
No,
That's a terrible thing to think.
I think it's beautiful up here.
You like it?
Yes, I love all the homes.
Most people think we're like the Stepford, a set of the Stepford wives or something out here.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Santa Clarita can be very cookie cutter. You know, that tiny boxes from, oh gosh, this Showtime, Weeds.
Never saw it.
I never
You
saw
didn't?
it.
No.
Oh, well then.
You never saw it either?
Never.
Yeah.
Well, then my reference.
And I have a really good friend that works on it. I've got nothing. Used to work on it. I don't even know, is it still on
No,
there?
it's not on the air
Oh, then
anymore.
She's not on it anymore.
Anyway, so you do lots and lots of things.
I do.
But let's take you back because you were a singer. Mm-hmm. Do you still sing?
No.
In the shower?
Unfortunately. I miss it so much.
Is that where kind of the performing bug started?
Yes, it started with, I was like 18 or 19 and I started doing musical theater. And then when I was like 22, I got a gig in Morocco.
Wow.
With the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia's son and his entourage coming to every show.
Wow.
We were at the Hyatt Hotel in Casablanca, and there were 5 of us, five girls, and 4 of them had no talent. And I was like basically doing the whole show, and they were just beautiful in the background.
They were just like the
singing.
eye candy.
Yes, they were. And I'll never forget, we did this kick line at the end, and one of the girls had a strappy dress on, and we were all locked in doing the kick line, and her dress just went boom.
Oh, she had a little malfunction. A little Janet Jackson
Wow.
malfunction.
It was like the original, the OG wardrobe malfunction.
She couldn't pick it up because she was,
locked in, locked and loaded, literally.
Yeah. And her boob was just bouncing up and down, and I like picked up the strap, and I was holding it as we were kicking.
Oh my
funny.
gosh.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Did you guys get asked back to Morocco after that?
We never did.
Oh. Guess it could have gone either way.
I know they'd either force you to move there or ban you. So you were doing that. What made you stop? Or how do you go from that to comedy?
Then I went to Tokyo Disneyland for 6 months and lived there and
Wow.
sang in the Tomorrowland band, which comes out of the ground, the one at Disneyland.
It's so funny because as a child we would go to Disney World in Florida, and Michael Eisberg, do you know who he is?
No.
He's like the original composer of the Electrical Parade and like the do-diddle-doo-doo-diddle, that whole thing. That reference, please. You got that, right? Anyway, he used to have a show at the Tomorrowland Terrace where he would come out of the thing and so that was like my childhood.
Yeah.
So they do the same thing in Tokyo.
Yes, they do.
And so you would come out of the ground.
Come out of the ground, sing, dressed in like spacesuit attire, and sang pop rock songs. So I lived there for 6 months. Then
Wow.
I came back and I auditioned for Sha Na Na, the 50s group, and I got the gig, and I toured with them for 4 years.
Like with Bowser?
Yeah, but he wasn't in the group anymore. There were 5 original members. Sang with them, toured the world with them.
Wow.
And then I was like, done with that gig and thinking, I really want to be on a sitcom. And I was dating an agent at the time. And he said, if you want to be on a sitcom, the fastest way to do that is do stand-up comedy. So I started doing stand-up comedy the next day.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I
So
never got on a sitcom.
And then that's when you stopped singing?
Yes. And started doing stand-up.
So that guy totally changed the face of your career. So hold on one second. I'm going back. Okay. So that one person telling you that you should just stand up to get on a sitcom changed everything.
Yes. And started doing stand-up, and that was in 1995. 95 or 96. Then I created Pretty Funny Women because there just wasn't enough stage time for women.
Right.
It's such a male-dominated field. You'd go to any lineup in any club in town. There would be 8 guys, maybe 1 girl, and I couldn't get,
Right.
And then I was at the Improv, and some guy said to me, "You're too pretty to be funny." And I said, that's a really funny title for a show. And I'm
Right.
going to steal it and get all my hot friends together. And we did this show called Pretty Funny Women. We sold it out our first night, and then I've kept it going ever since.
Wow. When was that?
That was 1995.
So for over 20 years, you've been doing this.
Yes.
Wow. And so what kind of...
I'm the madam of comedy. The Heidi Fleiss.
The Heidi Fleiss. I saw your video on your website.
Oh, yeah.
It's very funny.
Thank you.
So when you started this, was it just you were getting... because right now you do classes. So were you doing classes then?
No.
Or just getting already established funny women?
No. So what I did then was booked up and coming, the hottest like newcomers that I could find. And I would look for these girls, and I found like, Tig Notaro and Chelsea Handler and Retta and Maria Bamford and Sarah Silverman used to do my shows. She was already established, but she would do my shows regularly. And Natasha Leggero, and I would have all these girls sometimes on one bill.
Wow.
At the Hollywood Improv.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yes.
Well, it's interesting because I produce a comedy show for my charity every year, and this is the sixth year. I don't know. It's hard for me to find funny women, and the first year we did it, we had Tammy Pescatelli, and then the next, it's hard to find established funny women, and I'd find
Clearly, Lisa has no problem.
no, I'm just saying that I understand your point though. I could find men,
White men.
yes, but I
Lots of
really
them.
wanted to find. I wanted to have a lot of diversity in my show, but it was hard to find women that were funny, that were appropriate, that. I shouldn't even say appropriate because I don't really care. I mean, I just
Not
want
edgy or too dirty.
but it's slim pickings. So the fact that you found that niche and you've nurtured this undiscovered population.
I mean, a lot of these girls were just starting out. Maybe they'd been doing stand up 2 years, and then my show was the hottest showcase in town to be seen for the industry, to scout people.
Right.
And so I ran that for almost 10 years.
Wow.
And a lot of those girls blew up, and they're gone, and they're doing their own thing in headlining. And about 10 years ago, I said, I really want to impart some of this information that I've learned over the last 10 years and help women have opportunities in this business. So I started teaching, and now it's been 10 years.
And so now you teach classes, and then those students get to get up there and do their...
They take an 8-week class, and then they graduate at Flappers Comedy Club. We just had a big graduation show last night. 10 girls got on stage for the first time.
Wow.
And then after a few months of them doing stand-up, I will bring them to the Comedy Store in Hollywood. And then I do like an alumni...
So it's like the master's class.
Industry showcase.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we actually discovered you because our own little Lee Keckner,
Who took my class.
she took your class, and she was here in the same seat you are just a couple weeks ago. And so
And she's really funny. It has a lot to say with her 5 kids and her crazy life. Yeah, she just performed in a show for me last Sunday.
Wow. And it's funny because, her husband, David, is, look him up, guys. He's Dave Keckner. I mean, he's one of the funniest guys out there.
Yes.
And so it's funny when he's up on stage, and then you see on
she
Facebook.
hijacks the show.
You see on Facebook, all of a sudden Lee's up there, and you're like, what happened?
She hijacks the show.
She has no problem doing that,
Right.
I love that about her.
Yeah. Opening for him, right?
Yeah.
She gets to open for him.
So how do you
Every morning.
So when you people enroll in their class, are people naturally funny? Are you trying to draw out the funny? Are you trying to help them write their jokes? Like what are some basic guidelines?
You know what? It's funny too, because I would say 80% of the women who take my class don't want to be stand-up comics.
Really?
No, they want to try it once. It's a bucket list thing. Or they've heard about my class and they just want more confidence in their auditions. Or they want to put it on their resume and say that they've done it, but they don't ever go on to pursue it. And a lot of them are like, lawyers and housewives and, models.
Right.
And so they take the class, and I give them exercises every week, and they go to open mics, and they try it out and work on their stuff, and I teach them how to write jokes. I take everybody. So, not everybody is like hysterical.
right?
So how do you deal with that? Like, I mean, honestly,
When somebody's just not funny, right?
So I'm a big fan of Last Comic Standing. I've been watching it since the very beginning, and it is painful sometimes when you watch those auditions and you're like, really? Someone told you you're funny?
Yes.
And I'm watching, I'm like crying for the person, like feeling terrible. But I guess there's someone, it's sort of like, beauty in the eyes of the beholder. Someone probably thinks they're funny.
And it's funny you should say Last Comic Standing, because last night Dat Fan, who won first season, was at my show.
Oh, I remember him.
We were talking, and he's still touring, and he's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think that, when you're listening to someone, there's sometimes I think people are funny, and I don't know if it's mood. So when someone's doing their work and their material with you, do you just let unfunny stuff go and try to help them?
No,
like
never.
How do you, okay.
I panic and write their jokes for them.
But is it subjective? I mean, like, so the reason I'm saying this is so I do my show every year, and I really am trying to learn how to not have my sense of humor influence the stand-up comedians I pick, because
you have a very specific sense of humor.
Well, I'm kind of I like dirty humor.
Oh, you do?
I do like dirty humor. I'm not opposed to.
She looks gross.
No, like Joe Rogan, I think it's too dirty for me. I've seen Joe Rogan; he's too dirty for me. But like, I don't mind, an F-bomb and a.
But who's the guy we went to see that time?
Colin Kane.
Yes,
hilarious. So dirty, but peeing my pants, crying my eyes out, hilarious. But other people did not find him funny at all. So I'm trying to learn how to not have judgment when I'm finding people for my show. So
there's somebody for everybody, right? And people in the audience, I mean, everybody likes something different. So you have to have, one of every represent,
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So if you're listening to a comedian that's not funny to you, what do I do? Yeah.
Well, what I do with my girls is I make them talk about very personal stuff. We do like these exercises where they dig deep and they bring out their life, and it's it's all very true and real. So if they're not funny, they're at least interesting because they're being honest and open and vulnerable.
Oh, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah. So,
but you can also probably tell the difference between someone who's not funny and someone who's funny in a way that just doesn't appeal to you. Do you know what I mean? Like Colin Kane, when I went with Kim, I laughed. It was funny, but like I wasn't like, oh my God, that was the funniest thing. But I appreciated that he was your kind of comedy and other people's kind of comedy. Do you know what I mean? So
yes,
if somebody gets up there, they may not be your preference.
Right. Like Anthony Jeselnik. Do you know you love him?
He's so trying to get him for my show. I think he's hilarious. Yeah.
He is an excellent joke writer, and I really appreciate his ability to write jokes, but his material for me is way too dark.
Yeah.
My cringe.
Yeah.
It makes me,
I think it's hilarious. Yeah.
Do you know Al Lubell?
No.
Al Lubell. He's been around for a very long time.
Is he big?
No, he's tall.
Oh,
with,
okay.
Like big bushy hair. But like it's funny because if you actually watch comedians in cars getting coffee with Jerry Seinfeld and who did you just say that? Sarah Silverman. In the middle of the conversation, they like out of nowhere, one of them's like, remember Al Lubell? And they both start laughing because like he's an acquired taste. He was my roommate.
Really?
Yeah, back in the 90s. And his comedy, he did a one-man show called Al Alone. And it's very, very funny, but it's very dark.
Wait, I went to that with you, didn't
yes, you did.
Yeah. But I think that's, I think that people cannot be funny. Like, I don't know that I'm necessarily funny, but funny things happen to me. Like, and funny stories come. So well, I appreciate that, but I don't know that I'm a joke teller and I could do stand up, but I can tell stories and have a funny twist. So do you work with people that have that?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's one of the styles that people develop, Yeah. I take what they do naturally and build on that.
Yeah.
So if you were to take my class and you're an excellent storyteller, I would just say you have to have punchlines peppered throughout your story. You can't go too long without a punchline when you're doing stand-up.
Right.
What are some things that women... So I had a double mastectomy back in 2006. I sometimes make jokes. It never goes over well. Like, I think...
About your double mastectomy? Well,
yes, because right now, both of your faces are
I
like...
didn't hear what you said. You said that
well,
you're making jokes.
did a whole set and got famous from talking about her cancer.
Right.
and took off her shirt on stage.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's what you're missing, Jackie.
And then
I'll take 'em off.
another comic, Suzanne Wong, did a one-woman show that I saw, and she took off her shirt on stage, and she was just talking about her cancer. And then I have a student right now, Lizzie Faby, who just got over cancer, and she talks about it on stage, and it's really funny. I mean, comedy equals tragedy plus time.
Right.
Some time goes by, you're healed of it, then you can talk about it.
Right.
Sometimes stuff is still too new to talk about,
right?
And if you're not over it, the audience can sense that,
right?
But
I think that the audience, especially, I mean, I was never on stage. It's different when you're on stage too, because you've already given them the permission to laugh at whatever you're talking about, as opposed to being at drinks, at happy hour, and I make a joke, and all of a sudden it's crickets, But
or just that your joke wasn't funny.
Well, that's true too. Yeah.
Well, what are you saying?
I don't even know what I said. It depends on how many drinks I had.
Jackie did this great picture where she was naked or pseudo naked, whatever, green screen naked, and she put a stash on.
Green screen naked.
Well, I don't remember if you were actually fully naked.
Well, yeah.
Okay, and then she had a sash that said Mistectomy. So it's
like that's my one woman show that I have on my bucket list to do one day.
Great,
is mistectomy.
I like it,
and I had the sash, and the tiara,
and the crown,
and the whole thing, and the roses. Because I'm like, if you can't laugh at yourself, no one else is going to.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's so healing too.
Yeah.
I remember when I was 12, my dad died, and people would be so uncomfortable around me. They didn't know how to deal with it or talk to me. And they'd be like, oh, sorry about your dad. And I wanted to put them at ease because I felt like, uncomfortable with their discomfort. So I would say, why? You didn't do it. I started making jokes when I was a kid.
Yeah.
To deal with the tragedy.
I think I did the same. My mom died when I was 3. And so it was the same thing where it was like it's easier to make a joke about something than to be uncomfortable in the moment.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you can't just sit with that. So
Right. And then it makes people more uncomfortable. My mom had a boyfriend who hung himself in our garage.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Seems funny now. But at the time, wasn't that funny because where do you park?
Right.
And
well, it's good to have that thing, instead of a tennis ball. Right. That's what we used to have dropping down.
Wow. Is that a true story?
Yes. And I talk about it in my act. I do exactly what I'm doing for you guys right now.
Right.
And then I say, I'm sorry, that's just wrong. He hanged himself. Hung himself is improper.
Yes.
I shouldn't have said that. Yeah.
It's so funny. It's like, and I'm a grammar snob, so I really love that joke. So, but it is, I love that laugh that you get sometimes when people are like, I can't believe I'm laughing at this, but it's funny.
Right.
Like that's the best one.
Mm-hmm. That one I call tension and release. That's a style. You create
that's like
tension.
Sex with my husband upstairs.
And you make the audience
trying out
slightly
for you.
uncomfortable. And then you release them with the punchline. Yes.
So do people, because you do classes and you teach, do people expect you to be funny all the time?
It's funny. I have a joke in my act where I say I don't like to tell people I'm a comedian because they automatically expect me to be funny.
Right.
And then I go, I hope you guys aren't like that.
Right.
And then I say, I just tell people I'm an actress and I live in LA. That way they don't expect anything from me.
Except maybe to, for you to deliver their food.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I'm a pretty serious person. I'm not on, like a lot of comedians are on all day and they're just being funny and I'm not on.
Are you finding content all day long? Like, are you putting stuff in the library, in the comedic library all day long as you live your life and find things that you can make fun about later and write jokes about later?
Yeah, sometimes I'll write stuff down, but I don't really write for myself anymore because I'm writing for so many women.
Yeah.
I'm writing for all my students. So when it comes time for me, I'm kind of burnt out,
Yeah.
And I live with my boyfriend. We've been together for 5 years. And I always say, we have a healthy relationship, which does nothing for my comedy career.
Right. You have to have turmoil.
Right. What am I supposed to say? He's emotionally available, treats me with respect and really cute. Like, that's not funny.
Right.
What a dick.
Right. Seriously. I know. But as a comedian, isn't there supposed to be a little bit of like self-loathing? How did you end up with somebody so healthy?
Did a lot of work on myself. In therapy, I'm sober 10 years.
Wow.
And
congratulations.
Thank you. And I'm
sober 10 hours. 9.
I'm also bipolar, and I've
really
so I see a shrink regularly, and I need a lot of help.
Yeah,
it takes a village.
Do you think if somebody is like, you know, had an easy childhood, and you know, I don't know anyone who's had one, but you have to have the angst and the pain in your life to be a good comedian.
I think that develops character. Mm-hmm. You know, when you go through trials and tribulations, you develop a personality. You know, or if you were not attractive growing up, you know, you have to develop your sense of humor and your personality. And that's what a lot of comics, you know, come into my class with, you know, dysfunctional family upbringing or some kind of tragedy, or maybe they were not cute as kids and they were bullied. Mm-hmm. And but the ones who kind of had a stable, you know, and really good father tend to not be that funny.
Really?
Yes.
So it's all on the dad. It's like on the genes.
But it's funny because every female comic talks about her mom.
Really?
But most of them, I think, have issues around their dad. Yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating. Mm-hmm. Huh. You don't have any daddy issues, Kim?
I don't have a mom. No, I do have daddy issues. Sure I do. Why did it just get quiet?
I don't know.
I was waiting.
I don't know because I don't know. I'm not gonna wait for my comedy routine.
My friend, I was just coaching my friend Krista Allen. I don't know if you guys know who she is.
She was on Days of Our Lives.
Yes.
She dated George Clooney.
Yes.
I don't know why I know all this.
Yeah. She's doing stand-up now. She was at my house yesterday, and she did a joke where she said, I have daddy, my therapist says I have daddy issues. And she said, that is ridiculous. I've never even met my dad. And I love that joke. That's very funny. Yeah.
That was, I feel like I saw that in a movie once. There was something like
So after you have women that come through your class and they graduate and move on, do you feel like a proud mama bear when you see them? I
totally do.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. There's nothing more rewarding than seeing them sitting there, you know, shitting their pants. They're super nervous. They're panicking. They're sweating. They're coming up to me going, and then they get on stage and they're just blossoming, and they really, it's something about the all-female environment where the women develop just confidence and they support each other and they have each other like a little posse where they go to these open mics together.
Yeah.
And they laugh at each other, and there's the camaraderie. It's kind of like a comedy sorority that I create.
Yeah.
And then we all watch each other do our sets, and they're all high-fiving each other. And I got emails this morning, thank you. And I saw it on their Facebook group. They're posting, we killed it.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And is that open to the public, your graduations like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And are you able to sell, you know, a significant amount of tickets?
Oh, yeah. They're always packed.
Really?
Well, because every girl wants her family and friends and coworkers to come to the show.
Right.
So it's usually packed with those people. And
we used to go.
That's brilliant.
I have two friends of mine, the male though, they would do this. That was kind of on their bucket list. They started doing open mics. We were we worked at Larry Sanders at the time. So it was all the stage crew and after a while, we kept hearing the same jokes because they were, you know, trying out new stuff, and we'd hear the stuff in the office, and we'd go hear it. And it finally started to feel like a table read for me, like the run-throughs where you have to do the fake joke, like the fake laughing after a while to make sure that the actors felt like it was still funny. And I remember going like, okay, we're going to go support Chris and DJ again. You know, but they actually, it was great to see them like go from the day one to the end.
Yes.
You know, and the confidence, even though the jokes were the same and they were still working it out and the timing and all that stuff, it was really cool to be part of that. And I felt like, oh, we all helped them get to that place, but it was so cool to watch that.
Yeah,
that transformation.
I love watching that. And if when the girls go to open mics, there's something that happens. They grow leaps and bounds from one open mic because it's such a fear, you know, and they face that fear and they do it anyway. And then they come out of there like, well, that wasn't so bad. Or, you know, especially if it goes well, they're thrilled.
But what happens?
That's addictive,
what happens
that
when
feeling, I'm sure.
But when you go to a show that's stacked with all of your people, this is what I'm saying. Like when you go with stacked with your people and everyone's laughing to help support you, and everybody knows you, versus when you go to a show where you don't know anybody because it's a whole new experience,
Right.
and nobody's laughing.
Right.
Well,
Then
you're
what
saying
do
the
you do?
open mic happens before this final showcase.
Right.
I'm just saying in general though, like if someone
go
leaves
do
your
just a regular
so if
show.
someone leaves your class when they're doing all these things and people
The training wheels.
like you bring
It's
your
hard.
people.
They will never have a show like their graduation show.
Right.
Ever. That's going to be the best experience of their life. They're going to have a blast.
Do you tell them that as they leave?
I say invite everybody to this one because this is the only time you'll ever be able to say it's your first time on stage, and people will want to be there to support you.
Right.
And, and then they go off into the world and it's like, good luck.
Right.
But none of them most of them don't even continue.
Right.
Because it's hard, especially if they're moms, it's a nighttime thing and it requires a lot of hustle.
But when you're on stage and you're struggling because no one's laughing, do you just keep working your material or you just end your set early?
Oh,
like,
the
you
first
try
time-
to conquer that? Like, what do you?
First time I was on stage in Vegas, I bombed. My jokes just did not go over because I was doing a lot of stuff that was about LA and inside and maybe slightly alternative, and the audience did not care because they want to hear easy to digest, simple stuff. They want to escape their lives.
Yeah. Right.
And so I had another show right after, so I had to go to the coffee shop. There was one person laughing in the audience at my stuff, and it was my girlfriend in the back of the room, and she was laughing because nobody was laughing.
Right, that would be me. Yeah, that would do that. Yeah.
So I went back to the coffee shop and I rewrote my entire act, and I put physical comedy in there, and I put singing impressions, and I did a couple of dirty jokes and some observational stuff, and it completely changed my set. Thank God I had.
And then you get immediate, gratification when, or, feedback when you go to the next set and you do it. And did it do well?
Yeah, it did. I finally figured it out. I figured it out probably like the fourth day in, figured out the audience, but it was a tough audience.
If you write your material and then as you're 10 minutes in you realize that it's not working well, then do you just retool right in that moment?
Me at this point in my career, after as long as I've been doing it, I don't really care that they're not laughing. I just do what makes me laugh.
Yeah.
And I will just stand up there but it doesn't happen that I bomb. I mean, I'm not trying to brag, but that doesn't happen so much anymore because I have an hour and a half worth of material that I can switch things up if I need to.
Right. You can pull from there. And also, that after all this time, that if they're not laughing, they're probably just stupid. It's not you.
We had a comedian during one of my shows, and I saw him live. I know him. I thought he was hilarious when I first saw him. Invited, and the room was guffaw, like they could not stop laughing at his routine. He comes to my comedy show, and it was like,
oh, now I'm going to try to guess who it was because I was at those comedy shows.
We're not going to talk about it specifically, but it just was not going over, and I was still thinking it's funny, and I'm like, but wait, why is nobody laughing in here? And he was like, and you could tell he was determined to crack the crowd, right? And it just kept going on. I'm like, oh my god.
Well, and Santa Clarita is a very specific audience.
Yeah, but
they walked out when somebody made a Republican joke or something. It was like,
right, but
it's a little red here.
But my point is that he was trying so hard to crack the audience that it was painful. It was painful to watch because he was working so hard, and I was like, oh, just read the room and end your skit,
or start doing crowd work.
Yeah,
start talking to them.
But as an audience member, it was like a little, it was a little painful.
It's so uncomfortable.
See, if I could just get up there, it's funny because I told my husband, well, I mean, for full disclosure, I'm going to be taking your class starting on the 26th. So I'm very excited about that. But I told my husband, I just want to get on stage and then be like, I'm open for questions. Because I respond better to people, if I'm having a conversation and playing off of people than to write it and present it. You know what I mean? So I'm like, Q&A, let's go. I would be great.
Crowd work is really tough though.
Yeah?
Yes. It's so hard.
Because, you have to be, it all depends on the people in the crowd.
If you're really good at improv, then, it'll be easier for you.
Right.
But it's not that easy to be off the cuff, be really witty.
Right.
When you're up there.
Howie Mandel did that at your comedy event and killed it.
He was always great. He's always been great at crowd
I feel like he didn't show up with anything written and then just slayed it for 15 minutes or 20.
Yeah,
He just,
but it was awesome
riffing.
because all the people in our community who needed to be taken down a peg, how we handled it.
So you get big names for your show, it sounds like.
I've been fortunate to, this year I'm struggling a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I've been really lucky. I've been pulling a lot of favors, and people have been very gracious.
Sexual favors.
No, I don't do that still.
Jay Leno was there.
I didn't. I thought you were like saying I did a sexual favor. No, I've been really lucky. So Jay Leno, Billy Gardell, Howie Mandel. I had, oh my God, Tammy Pescatelli, Wendy Liebman, Owen
Wendy
Benjamin,
Liebman is one of my favorites.
Kathy Ladman too.
Cristela Alonso.
Wow.
Maz Jabrani. What?
You had Cristela? Was I not
I had
there?
Cristela. I don't know. I don't think you were there. Brian Callen, Maz Jabrani. Alonzo
Bowden. Oh my gosh.
I mean, I've been really
John Heffron.
Yeah. No, I've been so fortunate. This year we have Rodman and Nikki Glazer right now.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, and I need one more good big name because so I'm working on that.
And we got to get Lisa to come too.
Yeah, of course. And I actually was going to ask Chelsea Handler, and I asked. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting, and I'm nervous because again, like when you put shows together, you have to be careful. I don't know if you do it anymore, but like I have to be careful how I put the group together.
The lineup.
My lineup.
Yes.
And I don't care about it being edgy, but I know people got mad last year because there was a couple of F-bombs that got dropped. I'm like, really? People, when you come to a comedy show, like you got to know. Yeah. The first year it was super duper clean between Tammy, Alonzo, John Heffron, and Jay Leno. I don't even remember the word
Jay
shit.
Leno's not nearly
But he was
clean. Like he was pretty edgy, I thought.
But he was not. There was not one cuss word. Like not. It was totally like kids could have come. There was no cussing.
And the content was clean.
The second year, Billy Gardell was hilarious, but dropped a couple of F-bombs, and people were like, "Oh my God, he said the F word," But I'm like letting it go. It raises a good, a lot of money, and that's important. And people just deserve to come and. We had Craig Shoemaker.
I've opened for Craig, and I dated Billy.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Wait,
yeah.
Is it Craig's brother? Is that
no? Craig Shoemaker and Billy Gardell.
Oh, Billy Gardell, you dated?
Yes.
Oh,
many years ago.
Yeah,
many years ago.
So I mean, I've been very lucky to have but like I said in the top of the show, that it's hard to find. It's hard to find good quality people that want to donate their time.
Yes,
and sometimes, like I'm saying, the personal favors I'm running out of, and I'm not willing to do any personal favors. So,
which is just lame.
I know. I should really kick
but let's talk about a little bit. One of the things that we talk about regularly on this show is women helping women.
Oh,
and so
perfect.
One of the what you are doing by having these classes and inviting, you don't have to audition to be there. You're just taking people. So whether they're an accountant or want to be, an actress or whatever it is. So like, what is it that you're seeing from day one through like 8 weeks that changes or that?
100% confidence. And I get a lot of thank you cards, and every single one of them says, "Thank you so much for giving me confidence." And I have confidence now to go into my job and public speaking and my work, and just something shifts because, think about this. This is the scariest thing to do is stand-up comedy. Mm-hmm. People don't like public speaking, and now on top of that, you have to make everybody laugh at the same time. So they're attempting something that's really daunting, and to overcome it and actually do it and graduate, that's it's pretty rewarding, I think.
Do you find that women are always incredibly supportive of each other? We've talked about this a lot. I don't always know that women are very supportive. I think that there's cattiness and there's judgment
when there's competition, especially, right?
In my environment, I've never come across that. I've had like difficult personalities to deal with, and the girls sometimes don't get along, but in the end, they all come together for the good of the show. Mm-hmm. I think. Let me think. In the world of stand-up comedy, there's competition. When you're showcasing, and there's one spot. You're showcasing for Conan or something. Right. And there's a couple of girls on the showcase, and you're like, they're never going to hire two girls for something. So,
Right. Huh. And that's just assumed that it'll never be two women on
Well, like I did Comics Unleashed a couple times, that show with Byron Allen, and there's always 3 guys and 1 girl.
Right.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you think? I mean, you know, this is definitely something that is debated, that, you know, women aren't as funny as men. And, you know, Tammy Pescatelli got into some big thing. Didn't someone announce it? One of the male comedians or something?
I remember.
I'm pulling up some sort of hot topic that I have no idea what I'm talking about. But do you think there's something to be said for that?
It's funny. I think most people aren't funny. You know?
Right.
And there's less women doing it. So I think it evens out.
So it's more of a percentage of people who doing it that are not funny. And so it looks like.
But I think the women that pursue this like wholeheartedly, I think that they're twice as funny as a lot of the guys that are pursuing it.
Really?
Because I think it just takes more confidence and more balls to do it, because it is such a male-dominated field. So somebody who's like really hustling to do this is generally a super funny person.
Right.
You know?
Because they would know.
And there's a lot of guys trying to do it who aren't funny.
Well, I think the thing too is like, you know, women are so, I'll speak for myself and, you know, the experience that I've seen, but women can be very hypercritical of ourselves.
Right. They work harder.
You could be an 8 on a scale of 10 of funny, and we'd be like, oh, but we're missing those 2. I'm not good enough. I shouldn't be on stage. And the guy can be a 4 and be like, I'm going on stage.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like they have this innate confidence for some reason that like their tiny bit of funny is worthy. And we as women sometimes are like, oh, but I'm not perfect. Oh, and so I'm not going to do it.
You're nailing it. Exactly. But when they get into the all-female environment, that's non-existent, because they're not competing with men. There's no being objectified. And I ask all the girls to wear dresses at the showcase and to dress up and look cute or classy or sexy, because it's pretty, funny women. You know, I want everyone to look pretty. And, it's so funny because I've been told by so many men, you shouldn't wear a dress on stage. It's too distracting from your comedy. And I'm like, well, that may be true if you're the only girl on a lineup of a bunch of guys. You may get objectified looking sexy.
Right.
It may be the first thing they notice. But when it's all women and everyone's dressed like that, it's an equal playing field, and everyone looks great. And you know, where there's no other forum for a woman to really like doll herself up and do her hair and makeup and wear heels and a sexy dress and do stand-up comedy other than a show called Pretty Funny Women.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely. Are there any students or even people before you started teaching that stand out with like their story or where they came from, or like that you didn't have high expectations and kind of blew your mind? Or I'm putting on the spot now, but like,
oh sure, there's a lot of girls that I see that have star quality. Last night Audrey Stewart got on stage. She's like 22 years old. And she's from Indiana, and she just has something special. And my boyfriend was blown away by her. He was at the show, and he just said, wow, she's got something. And I said, I know. I'm really good at spotting talent and stars.
Yeah.
And I have a few of those girls that I think, yeah.
And
Chloe
what do you do with them?
Huh?
What do you do with them?
I wish I could manage them. I wish I had the time to, you know, to develop their careers. I don't, but I just kind of track them, and and I like to see, like Carly Craig is a girl who did my class and got seen at the showcase at the Comedy Store. Her manager signed her. They sent her out for Mad TV, and she booked it. So she was on Mad TV for the season. And I just knew. Sorry, my stomach's growling.
Some stuff you can't plan.
Too much coffee. I just knew she had something special. And, you know, I'm working with this girl, Chloe Feynman, who does so many amazing characters. And I'm like, okay, she's going to be on SNL one day.
Yeah.
You watch.
I love like characters and impressions. And you were mentioning earlier that you do singing impressions.
Well, I used to do I used
No
to
pressure.
do a lot more. I don't really do them anymore. Let me think.
Because it like combines your two.
I used to do Judy Garland, not singing, but I used to do her in my act. I would say, "Oh, but I've already told you I'm not a witch at all. Witches are old and ugly." And then I would do Alice Cramden from The Honeymooners. Remember The Honeymooners?
Yeah.
And I would go, "Well, you listen to me, Ralph. Trixie and I want to go on that fishing trip."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you do voiceover too? I mean, as far as
I've for 20 years. Yeah.
because you've got the voice, to.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I did. That's how I bought my house in Sherman Oaks. Was off voiceovers.
Really?
Yeah, I was the voice of Vaughn's Safeway stores for 4 years.
Wow.
So I went Vaughn's Ingredients for Life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Ingredients for life.
I knew you sounded familiar. So, are there topics that are like that you say to people don't
Yes,
dare?
definitely.
Like what?
I don't like it when women talk about their weight unless they're really overweight and then they're addressing it because it's something they struggle with on a daily basis. But I say, girls, nobody wants to see an attractive woman talking about her body. It's like boring.
Right.
And most people in the audience they don't look like you. And if you're up there complaining about how you look, what does that say about them? And I just think it's that topic for me is off limits. I mean, unless it's a super clever joke. I have a joke where I say I got carded and the bouncer looked me up and down and he said he stared at me and he said, "Come on, this can't be right." And I said, "It is. I'm older than I look." And he said, "Yeah, but 103 pounds?"
Yeah.
Which is a weight joke, but it's a clever joke.
Right.
Of course. Yeah.
Right.
So I don't like people talking about that. I think rape is a really hard topic to get laughs with. I mean, it has to be a super clever joke.
Right.
And I've heard very many. And abortion is another topic that I think, every girl, not every girl, but a lot of people try it and it's overdone and not very many people do it successfully. So I've seen it. And if you do those kinds of jokes outside of LA or New York, they really don't work.
Right.
What
And
about
I've seen people bomb doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
What about when there's, like a national crisis? I mean, I remember, after 9/11 that, the talk show hosts at the time, they were nervous about
Even bringing it up.
It's like, do you think that there's a time period that it is sort of sacred that you don't?
I think for something like 9/11,
do you remember when SNL? I think it was like a week with the SNL.
But it wasn't a joke about 9/11.
but
it was around that time.
But people, but then there was also there were jokes and but I remember that's when people started going, "Oh, it's too soon," because is it too soon sometimes?
Yes, I think it is too soon. I think it is too soon. But there's a lot of Holocaust jokes. Sarah Silverman has a great Holocaust joke where I'm paraphrasing, but she says that my niece said to me, "Aunt Sarah, we're studying the Holocaust, and we heard that 60 million Jews were killed." And she said, "No, honey, it was 6 million Jews. 60 million would be unexcusable."
Right.
Well, but she's also Jewish.
Yes.
So it's like that Seinfeld where the guy converted so he can tell Jewish jokes.
Right.
I
remember that one.
I think that you have to, know your crowd, but also where you come from. You know what I mean?
Well, I talk about being bipolar on stage.
And you can
I
because
can
you're
talk about
bipolar.
mental illness because I'm sharing my story.
Right.
And
But if I went on stage not being bipolar and made jokes about bipolar, it's not.
no,
It's not.
it's going to be offensive or it's
Right.
a hot topic or people get
Uncomfortable.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, are there women that you've met through, any of your comedy circles that you're like, wow, you just should not be doing this, and she continues to believe that she should be? Like, how do you face that person?
You mean one of my students or just women that are famous right now that I don't think?
Oh, let's go there. That sounds a lot more interesting.
No, I don't want to. I'm not going to bash any woman, but there are people that I think have, mediocre material who are famous, and I always tell my girls that, if you're a hustler and you know how to network, you're going to get further along than somebody who's super talented who doesn't know how to do that.
Right.
And some of these women are just excellent businesswomen, and they know how to align themselves with the right people, and they get out there. But I will look at their act and think, they're not talking about anything that original.
But I think that's true in any field, though. If you're a hustler and you know how to work a room, regardless of
squeaky wheel, asking for things.
I mean, I absolutely believe that. And
you don't have to be the most talented.
No. I remember, I'll never forget, there was this girl, and her name was Rachel. I can't remember her last name, but she breezed into town from Canada. And this is when I was, in my 20s. And she was not funny. And she was showcasing at the Improv. Got a spot because she was dating this agent. Right. And I was like, so mad about this girl. So she's getting ready to go on stage, and the booker of the Tonight Show was at the Improv having dinner. She walked up to him and she said, "Excuse me, I'm getting ready to go on stage. Can you come watch my set?" And interrupted his dinner to ask him. And I was like, "You've got to be kidding. Are you kidding me right now? Who does she think she is?" And he goes, "Sure." And he gets up and he goes and he watches her set, and she bombs. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't help women at all.
Right.
Right. And I remember being so angry inside, and I had to look at that and think, why am I so mad? Mm-hmm. Oh, it's because I would never do anything like that. I don't do anything. I don't ask for things. I haven't developed that side of my personality to network or, So once I started doing things that made me uncomfortable, which is writing emails or asking an agent to come to my show.
Right.
My anger towards her dissipated.
Right. Because obviously, a lot in life, it's that mirror.
Yes.
That you saw what you weren't doing, and that you're like, oh, she's doing it.
She was my best teacher at that time. You
know?
The people who piss us off are generally people that we can learn the most from.
Right.
Such a good point. So I have to ask you about this. So this is one thing that bugs me and that I've tweeted about. So Amy Schumer, Mindy Kaling, let's just start there. Why is it when you have funny, attractive women who go on television that aren't a size 2, that we have to make their, actually, who else? There's somebody else too. We have to make their,
it's just even a subject of discussion.
It's all about the fact that I don't, if I watch Mindy Project, it's constantly about what she's eating and how much she eats. And Amy, the same thing. It's just,
Amy gets criticized a lot for her weight, which she says she's a size 6. I saw her live at the Comedy Store, and she had a cute body.
Yeah.
I mean, she's like a normal girl.
Yeah.
And people are, really critical of that. I think it's because you're in the public eye, and I think it's because on all the magazine covers, there are models, and we're supposed to look a certain way.
But even on on the shows, it's why can't they just be that size? And I don't know about, I didn't really watch Mike and Molly. But I don't think that Molly was constantly criticizing herself for being heavy.
Well,
but Billy Gardell,
they met in OA.
Oh yeah, okay. So maybe I should have watched the show. But my point is it's never that we have somebody who's over a size 0 who just lives life over a size 0. It's even the character, the fictional character written in these shows has to be going through something or just a pig. Literally they treat the person
fat actress or
or they treat her she can't get her eating under
Yeah, but isn't that a real life situation?
Not for every single woman over a size 0.
Of course not. But I just mean that I don't know. I mean, if you struggle with your weight, why does that's not a fictional character? I mean, that's
But who's saying they struggle with, I'm saying that a woman who's a size 6 or a size 8 isn't necessarily struggling with her weight.
Right.
But yet as creatives, they're like, oh, she's a real woman size, so let's give her some sort of eating, disorder in the mentally.
Right. Well, that's why I say don't talk about your weight.
Yeah, no, and I like what you're saying because it's it's just such a double-edged sword because it's oh, look at Mindy Kaling, who's still probably not more than an 8, if that. I mean, as far as like, I mean, you've probably seen her in person. I haven't seen her.
I don't look at her and even, it doesn't even cross my mind that she's
But that's what.
heavy
But
or
that's what
anything.
people talk about. I mean, somebody.
Oh, I don't watch the show.
But she also. The show. It's like she's obsessed with food. But the other thing too is like when you see interviews and stuff, and she calls them out on it because they're like, "How do you find the confidence?" And she's like, "What? Given that I'm a big fat pig, how am I still confident?" Like she'll call them out on it because she doesn't look at herself like that. But it's just, I don't know. There's just, it's bothersome to me that.
That they have a lot of pressure on themselves. Women do, I think. I think we put the pressure on ourselves to look a certain way.
Right.
And to try to fit in, especially in Los Angeles.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, but it's the same thing. Like, why is it when you see someone skinny, does everyone go, oh, she needs to eat a hamburger? Like, why is that funny? Like, why is that? I think
I would never say that. I usually say a tuna sandwich. Sorry, Kim. I love you.
I don't know. I think that the whole, I mean, I think it goes back to what you're saying. There are certain things like, to not talk about your weight because it does strike a chord in people. I mean, I know what you're saying, that if there's a heavy set,
I'm not even talking heavy. I
know, but like, why do they have to attach all those perceptions to it or those negative connotations that just perpetuate that judgment and that criticism that we have? But, I think that we want to be further along.
I think it's a boring topic.
Yeah, I do too. But like, I think that we want to be further along. We want to not objectify women, but it's that's part of our culture, and I don't know that we're ever going to not.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I'm with you. I don't find that funny at all. Like when heavyset people or overweight people make jokes about that, I don't find that funny. I'm like, oh, come on, be more creative in my head. But
right.
Not. I don't know.
But you think that when it comes to women in comedy, like, really reaching in and finding your stuff is the way to go.
I think that reality TV changed the face of comedy. I really do. I think that people are used to seeing seeing the truth, seeing inside people's lives, seeing people be vulnerable, exposed. And I think that comedy has changed. I don't know if Ronnie Dangerfield's act I don't know if he would be famous today. I get no respect. I don't know if a gimmick like that, would work because Louis C.K. is the biggest name in comedy right now. And he's just talking about real stuff.
Right.
He's talking about his life and his kids and his struggles. And I think that's what people want to see.
Yeah.
They want to see the truth. The truth is always the funniest.
It's totally.
Yeah.
And I think that's my favorite is when, I remember when I first started kind of thinking about comedy, and it was back during the Wendy Liebman, Kathy Ladman, the other one there, forgetting her name, but like women who would get out there and talk about their lives and were just so damn funny.
Right.
And I think they were kind of trailblazers.
Sorry.
You can hear your stomach on mic. No.
Oh God, I had coffee and no carbs this morning. I'm trying not to eat carbs, not to talk about my weight.
Oh, see?
But
carbs are like the devil.
well, when I eat them in the morning, then I want them all day.
Yes.
It's like a trigger of some kind.
Right.
You gotta have protein or something or coffee. So,
But Wendy Liebman, I want to talk about her for a second because I think she's one of the best joke writers I've ever met.
Yeah.
And she's a friend of mine, but I use her as an example for my students all the time. I say, I want you to Google her and watch her and try to write to that level.
do you ever do her show over there at
Vitello's?
Vitello's?
I've never done her show. No.
We gotta make that happen.
But I worked on Parental Discretion with Stefanie Wilder-Taylor. I was a producer on that show, and she's my best friend. So I worked on the show.
Stefanie is?
Yes.
That's so funny. I know her from back in my Mom Logic days.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Wendy Liebman was on the show, and I remember her saying, do you think I should audition for America's Got Talent? And I think I'm going to. And I said, I think you should. Absolutely. You're a great writer, and you're so funny. And she did.
Yeah.
And she did well.
Yeah, she did great.
But how great is that? Because she's been around. She's an icon, I think.
Yeah.
In comedy, and to be able to reinvent yourself and kind of like find where the opportunities are now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I just think there are a lot of people who are like, well, I couldn't do that. Like, that's for new upcoming, and she's been established for so long and still did it. Mm-hmm. It's like, I think we have to get out of our own way, especially as women.
Well, also, you can't have an ego. You know, like, oh, I'm too good for that.
Right.
Or, because people will step right over you and go, well, I'll do it. And then they'll get famous.
Right. So what do you think, as we wrap up, what do you think that comedy kind of has done for you as a woman, as far as like, I mean, you're obviously very successful. You found this niche that is really important. And you know, you can look at comedy as like, oh, whatever. But like, first of all, we all need to laugh. Like, no matter what the economy is doing, no matter who our president is, like, we all need that release and place, you know, that place comic to kind relief. Of just get out of everyday life. But at the same time, you know, I got to commend you for elevating. You're constantly elevating women.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry about my stomach.
No,
I'm trying to empower women through the art of stand-up comedy. That is my mission statement, and that is what I do. And I feel like I'm living my life's purpose. And that's, for me, what comedy has done for me. I always knew I was supposed to be in comedy because I was a funny kid and making my family laugh, putting on shows. But this is, I believe, my true purpose, because I feel such fulfillment. And if I died tomorrow, I'd be like, I think I did what I was supposed to do on this planet.
Wow.
And I think I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And and I think when you're on your life's purpose, things click and it flows and it's easy.
Yeah.
And I don't have to work that hard. It just comes naturally to me to do this, to help women and to teach. And my classes are always full, and it's really fun and super rewarding. And so that's what it's done for me.
That's awesome.
So if people want to take your class and they want to be touched by your brilliance, your brilliance, where can they find you?
They go to prettyfunnywomen.com.
And then they get to see the Pretty Funny video of the Pretty Funny Women.
Yes.
When did you do that one?
I did that like 6 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Which was really funny. Do you want to hear it? Can I tell a quick
please.
story? I was praying. I'm very spiritual and into God and higher power and everything. And I said, what am I supposed to be doing right now for my career? And this voice came into my head and said, make a commercial. And I said, I don't know how to make a commercial. I don't know how to do that. I wouldn't even know where to start. So you have to, you do it, God. You do the commercial for me. Tell me how to do it. So I worked on this show called Robot Chicken. It was with Seth Green. And I went to their wrap party. And I go to the bar and I got a Diet Coke. And this guy comes up next to me and he gets his drink. And we start talking. And he goes, what do you do? And I said, well, I did voiceover on the show. And I go, what do you do? He goes, well, I'm a director and I direct commercials. And I go, oh, well, I'm trying to make a commercial. He goes, well, yeah, let's do it.
Right.
And then he put the whole cast, I mean, not the cast, he put the whole crew together.
Wow.
And all that and edited it. And I booked all the talent and wrote the script. And it just came together in like one day.
Wow. Was his name Jesus?
No, his name.
Wouldn't that be funny if like you're like, please, Jesus?
Oh, his name was Jed Hathaway, and he's now you can't even get him. Yeah. He's so busy.
Wow, that's awesome. Amazing. You know, and that's definitely something that I'm interested in, is kind of like giving it up a little bit more, like
surrendering
and tapping into that, as far as, you know, and I mean, it seems to be the way to live.
I'm very big into meditation. I do TM, which is transcendental meditation. And I feel like you get a lot of those inspirations and those, you know, like I hear like voices and I am bipolar, so that could be a little bit of it, but I do hear like, I get little messages of what I'm supposed to be doing.
Really?
And I try
What's the difference between meditation and transcendental meditation?
TM is you go to a teacher and you go through a ritual and you get a mantra. And then you hear that mantra in your head over and over again. And then you kind of transcend your thoughts and you go into a deep level of subconsciousness.
Wow. That sounds... So
I'm going to learn how to be funny and meditate.
See that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
awesome.
and I think that's an interesting mix, because I think, I don't know.
Nothing has helped my career or my life more than meditation.
Really?
Yeah. It's been the single most important thing. And think about it. It gets you really present.
Right.
So you become a better comic on stage when you're present.
Right. Unless you're meditating on stage, and then it's really boring.
Right. You wouldn't...
Well, I can't wait to see, Jackie, how you do after these classes. So
Maybe
we'll have to do a field trip.
Yeah.
to your Flappers graduation.
Yeah, I'm
Lisa
excited to see
Lisa
you
will
on
be
the
writing my jokes.
Yeah.
No, you're
So-
gonna come up with a lot.
I'm
of
like
great
a
stuff.
walking daytime episode, daytime talk show between I have 12 siblings. And
Oh,
like,
wow.
I mean,
You have a lot to say.
I have a lot of very weird, messed up, unique experiences. So,
Plus, you're a mom, and there's not that many moms that are doing it. It's hard to get that demographic
Really?
represented. Yeah, because they just don't have the time, and they usually
Right.
put their kids first. They're not putting their career first.
yeah, I think I'm the only mom who doesn't. So, I'm good with going first. They can wait.
All right, great. Love it.
Well, we certainly appreciate you being here
Thank
and
you
sharing
so much
all
for
your
having me. This
your
was
fun.
really fun.
Prettyfunnywomen.com. Head on over there. I need some classmates, so I don't have to do this alone. No, but also we'll share all of that on our BROADScast.com page and that funny video too. I think I can embed it and I'll put it on over
Thank
there too.
you.
So,
Appreciate that.
awesome. Lisa, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Go and subscribe on iTunes and all of those good places and leave a review and a rating and all that. So we'll catch up with you next time. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
You are listening to BROADScast. For more from the Broads, head to BROADScast.com.